we are so glad to have everyone here today. We are joined by the Carolinas District of Circle K International Executive Board. I am Jennifer Hethcox, and I'm the District Administrator. And we are doing a series called Interviews with CKI Leaders, and this features our Executive Board. So I am going to ask you all to introduce yourself today, and then we're going to go through some fun questions.
All right. So, hello everybody. My name is Asal Abdu, and I'm the District Governor for the Carolinas District of CKI. A little about me is, so I'm a senior at University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and this is my 7th year in the Kiwanis family.
All right. My name is Rochelle Twazon. I'm the District Secretary Treasurer. I go to the University of South Carolina. I'm a senior, and this is my 5th or 6th year in the Kiwanis family.
Hi everyone, my name is Yanya Sang. I'm the District Bulletin Editor, and I've been in the Kiwanis family. This is my 2nd year actually. And I'm a senior at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
Well, great. We are so glad that the three of you could come and join us today, and we're excited about sharing what you all do on the district board with all the members of the Carolinas District. So we are going to start off. I'd love for each of you to take just a moment and kind of just tell us a little bit about your role on the district board. So what is it that you do, and kind of what are your regular functions on the district board?
So, as I said earlier, my role is the District Governor. So, it is kind of what it sounds like. And a way that it was explained to me while I was being trained is that you're the CEO of the district. It doesn't mean you're doing everything, but it means you're overseeing everything that's being done. So you're training your district board, you're pretty much being that executive chief officer, you're ensuring that those events are run smoothly, you're representing your district on the international level at like the International Council. So that kind of like sums it up.
Would you like to go, Rochelle?
Okay. So as a district secretary treasurer, one of the things I do is keep notes or minutes of what's discussed at board meetings so that we know what we've already discussed, what we may need to discuss in the future, and any action items that the district board needs to do. And I provide information about dues to club officers, make sure that they know when those deadlines are, and keep in touch with the club secretaries, make sure they're submitting club monthly reports so that we have an overview of, we know what our clubs are doing in the district.
All right, sounds great. And Annie?
Yes, so as the District Bulletin Editor, I help to publish the quarterly bulletin that we have, which is called the Carolinian. And I think one of the biggest roles that I have is just communicating with all of the members of our club, the service projects that we've been up to, and just the big events that we're planning. And I also help to communicate with the social media that we have, such as Facebook and Instagram.
Yes, and that is a big job. Thank you. All right, awesome. So the question is, I know some of you ran for your position and some actually were appointed to your position, but if you could just talk about why did you choose to either run or apply for that particular position, where did, you know, what made you think that this would be a good position for you? And right. Anybody can.
Oh, okay. I'll start us off then. So for me, the whole time I was in Geek Club, I never really went on the district level. So I kind of just stayed on the club level, serving then. And then when I came to UNCC, I already knew that I only had about 3 years here. I wouldn't be here for 4 years. So I was kind of thinking about it. So my first year, I ended up going for LTG, and I did that, and that was pretty fun. But then my last year, this past February, I realized that if I was going to do something, this is my last chance to do it. So I decided that it was the perfect time to go for governor. And plus, with all the experience I've had, I thought it would be the perfect opportunity. So I did it.
So why I chose to apply for this position is kind of similar to Azal. It's my senior year, so I thought if I wanted to be on the district board, it's my last full year at school, so it would be a good time to do it. And I just thought I would be good at being secretary.
For me, I was actually talking with our immediate past governor, and she talked a lot about just the positions that were available, and I knew I wanted to like be more involved with CKI. And when I heard more about the bulletin editor position, I thought it would be a really good match for me.
Awesome. Okay, so I want you to think back. Your term's not over yet, but you have probably learned a lot from being in your position. So tell us a little bit about maybe what are some things either you've learned about yourself or that you've kind of grown in. So what have you learned from actually being in the role on the district board?
All right, so I guess I'll start this one off. So I've learned a lot, that's without a doubt. Like I could probably talk for a long time on the stuff I've learned, but I won't. Just for y'all's sake, I won't. So to highlight some of the biggest stuff I've learned in terms of like skills, definitely time management is one of them. Or I kind of learned that I was better at it than I thought I was, and of course I had to improve on it a little bit because when you're managing, like, of course, a senior year, managing your school workload, managing your work, like your job, and then managing extracurriculars, all you have to do, you do really have to put those skills into place and make sure you're getting everything done when it needs to. Otherwise, you honestly won't get everything done if you're not balancing yourself properly. Another thing I honestly learned, and this may sound kind of weird, but I realized that I do like to talk a lot. Uh, like that sounds like something odd to say for this, but I don't usually talk a lot, and I'm usually more quiet. But then when you're thrown into a position such as governor, where you're doing all the speaking, running all the events, running the meetings, I realize that I actually enjoy talking during all of those. So I guess that's something else. So if you like talking, you like it.
Good.
All right. Well, I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is that it's really important to plan ahead, especially when you're trying to get people to pay their dues because the deadline is fast approaching. And I did not think we would be here so quick, but yeah, it's really important to plan ahead and especially when you're trying to send out emails, put out deadlines for your club to let them know like what's going on. It can put you in a pretty difficult position if you're not prepared.
I wanted to second what Azal was saying with time management. I think being in this position definitely really it both challenged and pushed me in that aspect. And then another thing that I really learned was just like the impact that like communicating can have because whether it's between our district board members or with our like social media and communicating events to all of our club members, the only way for them to know about it is through communication.
All right. Great. Thank you. Those are some very good life lessons to learn. All right. So someone listening may be interested in applying for your position. So what advice would you give someone considering running for governor or secretary treasurer or bulletin editor? What's something that they need to think about as they're considering running at district convention in February?
All right, so I'll start off with this, and something I want to say is know your personal limit. Uh, what I mean by that is know what you can and can't handle, because a position such as this does throw a lot on you, and if you're someone who's probably not used to handling the amount of stress it may bring or the amount of workload, I would recommend making sure that you know what you can and can't handle. Because of course you have your help, you have your admins, your district board, but you yourself still have your responsibilities that you need to be sure you can handle.
And would you say, just having had been a past Circle K governor, that you also need to look at like your course load? Would that be something that a student nowadays would consider running for governor should look at?
Yeah, so actually, kind of going back to what Rochelle said earlier, so look ahead. Even when you're applying, look ahead. Know what you're going to be doing the next year in terms of maybe school and work. Like when I was applying for governor and when I ran, I already knew, okay, I'm going to be taking my senior year classes as well as I knew I was going to be working as an RA on campus again. So I already knew what I had, so I just had to make sure that along with what encompasses like that whole governor role, that I can still do all of that alongside everything else I had already planned.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, Michelle or Annie, what advice would you give?
Okay, so for secretary, I would also second what is all said. Just know what you're going to be doing for the next year. Make sure that you're going to have the time to commit to the role. Another thing is, I think it's important to know what your strengths are. If you're good at kind of like planning out your agenda, what you have to do for the week or for the month or for the day, I think that's important for being a secretary.
I definitely agree with what Azal and Rochelle said, but I think for me, what like really encouraged me to apply was just after considering what I could handle and whether I think this position would suit me, I also almost didn't apply, but I thought it's like good to like challenge yourself and just go for it if you're interested. So I would really encourage like taking the chance and applying.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So continuing on kind of that thought process, if someone's still thinking about applying for your position, what is something that I know some of you talked about time management and you've talked about, being good at kind of planning and almost looking to the future, right? You got to kind of think ahead to see where you're going to be. But can you think of anything else that someone running for your position might need to be good at in order to be successful? Because sometimes we can teach time management and we can teach some of the leadership skills that you've developed over time. But what's something maybe innate that they might need to be successful in your position, do you think?
All right, so that's a good question because a lot of the time with the position, it's hard to know if you have what it takes before you go into it. I'll be honest. The same happened to me. I don't know if Rochelle and Annie could second that, but you never really know if you have what it takes. But you at least know that you have the skills that it needs. But some of those skills that I would say, one thing, and I always say this at our board meetings, I'm always talking about communication. You definitely need to be somebody who already knows how to communicate with others. Whether it be through email, text, group me, whatever format it is you use, you need to know how to properly communicate with others. Because running something such as a district board, so like the role of governor, you honestly won't be able to make it if no one knows what's going on. So if I don't know what Annie's doing, or I don't know what Rochelle's doing, or any of the lieutenant governors are doing, I have no idea what's going on in the district. So there's no way I can manage if I don't know what's going on. And another thing just goes back to it, be somebody who's already has somewhat of an skills in time management. So just going back to that other answer from an earlier question, where you already have that skill to where you can plan at least part of your day out. Like you don't have to exactly plan literally every minute of every day out, but just plan what you're going to do and like what day you're going to do it on. But that's all I have.
Great. Awesome. All right. How about the two of you?
Okay, so communication is definitely important specifically to the secretary treasurer role because you're going to have to communicate with your district board, like with your minutes, making sure that they have those meeting notes. And you're also going to spend a lot of time trying to get in contact with club secretaries and club treasurers just to make sure that they know when deadlines are, when they need to submit items. And yeah, I think I spend a lot of time just trying to get in contact with those people to make sure they know what's going on.
So even problem solving skills too, would you say, Rochelle?
Yeah, I would say that. Like, if you can't get in contact with one officer, you have to find a different way to either contact them through a different method or find out who else would be a candidate for who you'd contact.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. All right, how about you, Annie? For the bulletin editor, what's something that would be helpful for someone to be successful?
Well, first, I do want to agree with communication since I think that's a big part of it. Just whether you're trying to find stories that you want to include in your bulletin, or pretty much like everything that you do with being a bulletin editor. So that's like, I think one thing that would be good to have. And then more of a bonus is if you really enjoy being creative, because I found that when you're putting together the bulletin, it's a lot more fun when you get to design where everything is placed in a way that looks good for the club and also is like a fun, like, creative outlet for you.
That's great. And Annie, can you tell us a little bit about the program that you use to create the bulletin, just in case someone is interested in the bulletin editor position?
Yes, so I use Adobe programs mostly in design for making the actual bulletin, but for illustrations that I'll add onto it, I design it on Adobe Illustrator, and I'd say those are the two main programs I use.
And did you know how to use those before you became bulletin editor?
So I have very, I would say, like, pretty limited experience. I did have some experience, but I had to learn as I go. And I think even just practicing through the first bulletin release, I think I've improved a lot to my second one.
Awesome. So I think sometimes people are nervous about applying for the bulletin editor if they don't necessarily have a strong background in Adobe, but if it's something that people can learn along the way, that also might be helpful if you think that is true. So,
yes, definitely.
Awesome. Great. All right. So any last thoughts? Somebody walks up to you and says, I'm running for your position. What would be kind of the last little bit, or even maybe there's an officer or a club member and they see a spark in another club member. Is there anything else that you might say to them to encourage them to take that leap to run for your position on the district board? And I know I didn't give you time to prep for that question. so on your feet, just like in caucusing.
So basically, one thing I would definitely say is that you have plenty of resources and help. So I'm not going to say that, for example, a district governor isn't a busy position, because I'd be lying. It is. It's a very busy position. It is very time consuming. But what I will say that is also true is that you definitely have plenty of resources and plenty of help on the district board. The admins, the rest of your district board, your trustee. All those people who are there are constantly working just as you are doing their part to make sure that the district runs smoothly. And so, for example, for me, as working with Jennifer, she's our DA, we have our weekly meetings where we constantly make sure we're all caught up and we know what's going on. So then throughout the next week we can work on that and also make sure that everything's ready for our meeting next week. So it's just something like that. You're always going to have somebody there who's going to make sure you're staying on the right track and making sure you're getting done. So you're not just like thrown out into the dark and expected to run a whole district. There's people there with you.
Okay, I was going to say, I would tell them to just go for it. Don't be afraid to apply, because I feel like in the past, I've definitely missed out on some things just because I was scared to send in that application. So just don't be afraid. It's okay. You definitely have a lot of help once you're in the position, as was all said, not only within the district, but as secretary, we have a secretary group chat for all the international secretary. So you're not just going to have your district, you're definitely going to have other people to help you out.
I'm basically just seconding what Azal and Rochelle said again. I would also just go for it if you're interested, and I'm sure anyone in the district board would be more than happy to help you with any questions or guiding you through anything that you need. So I'd really encourage it.
Well, good. Well, we certainly do hope that people consider running for the district board. Azal, do you want to tell us just really quickly how that works and where, when district convention is, or where it's going to be?
Yeah, so basically how it works running for the district board is there's an application that'll be sent out, I believe, towards the beginning of next year, and that's going to basically say where you fill out your information and say what position you're interested in running in. And then fast forward, come the day of district convention. I forgot what day exactly is it, if you want to throw that out.
February 20th.
All right, yeah, February 20th, and it's in Columbia, South Carolina. And basically, this year, of course, it's a little bit different because we're not going to try to do a whole weekend thing because of the whole COVID situation, and we're going to try to just minimize all the important stuff down to a one-day event. So in that one-day event is where caucusing and elections would happen. So caucusing, if you haven't been to district convention before, is each candidate is like pretty much speaking and getting and asking questions, or you're getting questions asked to you. It's usually like drawing them out of like a random box if no one asks you anything. And then you're actually going to do regional caucusing, so you're going to go around to different rooms with different divisions, and you're going to also speak in front of them. So of course you want to have a speech ready. And there's also running off the floor, but if you do plan on running, so say you do miss the deadline to apply to run for the district board and you end up running off the floor, make sure you have some stuff prepared before district convention, because that tends to happen sometimes. Running off the floor isn't necessarily an excuse to not be prepared, because if you have any intention to run off the floor, you want to at least still be prepared. But anything else you think I should throw in there, Jen?
So they'll have 2 rounds of caucusing, is that right? So we'll do a district caucusing maybe in that morning. We're still working on the schedule, I know. And then usually you go to smaller rooms to the divisions and caucus on a traditional district convention. And I know sometimes people are afraid of caucusing. Is there anything you want to share about caucusing and why they should not be afraid to go through the caucusing process?
Yeah, so first of all, coming from someone who used to be like really scared about speaking in front of crowds and speaking in front of people in general, one thing you want to look at is that the people you're speaking in front of aren't going to be there to criticize you. They're there because they want to see who their future leaders are going to be. Of course, it means they may critique if there's anything you do wrong, or maybe if your speech isn't good, but you want to go up there knowing that these are the members who you're looking to serve. So when you go up there, you just want to know that these are the people that you're going to be in that position for, and that they may actually be supporting you there. So you don't want to look at it as you necessarily. I don't know, how I looked at it when I ran was I wasn't necessarily, like, of course I was a bit nervous, but I wasn't looking at it that I was really scared or anything, because I just saw people out there who just kind of who were listening to me, and I mean, it's really hard to explain that because everybody handles this kind of stress differently, but I saw a lot of familiar faces out there, and then you see people like either smiling or grinning while you're giving your speech, you're maybe like, okay, this is going good, and it kind of boosts your confidence, but I couldn't give you an exact way to not be nervous up there. I'm not that good at that yet, but I would just say that if there's anything that would help you, just don't be nervous when you go up there. It's not worth it. There's no need to be nervous up there. I can say from experience, from running twice now for different positions, that there is no need to be nervous when caucusing.
I think our district and our divisional rooms are very friendly to people, and they just want to get to know you and everything. But I think too, what you said about being prepared and having a short speech or some goals in mind as you go up to introduce yourself is always a good way to show that you are what you guys have all talked about. You've thought about it, you've planned ahead, you good time management, and you're using your good communication skills, which do show that you're taking it seriously and you're trying to be as professional as possible. So I think that's great. All right. Anything else that you guys want to share? Hopefully you've had a great year being on the district board. And I will say, as your district administrator, you've all done a fantastic job. You've been a rock star exec board. So on the Kiwanis end of things, you guys have done such an awesome job. And I'm so glad that you all took the leap of faith and became district board members. But anything else that you would like to share with the district about your position or being on the board or anything else?
So it's not necessarily related to that, but honestly, if there's anyone who ends up watching this, like if you're watching this and like you have any even slight part of you that's considering running for district board, reach out. Because I can assure you, it's not something you want to miss out on. It's definitely an experience that you will take with you for the rest of your life. So I would recommend not throwing away that chance to take it and run for district board. Especially if you're like me and you're about to be a senior and you know it's going to be your last year. You don't want to miss your last chance to do it. So I would highly recommend doing it. And reach out if you have any questions.
Well, I would echo that. Definitely reach out, and you can email anybody here on the screen. We are more than happy to. I will say, as a pastor member, my terms on the board, I served all 5 years that I was in college, and they were all extremely memorable and really set forth kind of what I do today. So there's a lot of skills that I learned being on the district board that I've taken into the workforce. So I highly encourage everyone to do that. But I want to thank you guys for your time today. And we are looking forward to our additional series of interviews with CKI leaders. We'll have lieutenant governors on, some club officers, and even some members of the international board. So make sure you check in a little bit later, and we'll be posting those across the next couple of months. But we hope to see everyone at District Convention February 20th in Columbia, South Carolina. And everybody stay safe and